Hello, my name is Caitlin Owen, and I'm going to be speaking about the importance of listening and the difference between listening and hearing. There usually is a big difference between the two. Hearing is more mechanic, and it's more of the process of sound waves and hearing everything. And I could explain the process to you of how sound comes in through the ear canal, hits the eardrum, up into the inner ear, to the malleus, incus, stapes. Yeah, I could explain all of that to you, how sound mechanically travels through your ear into your brain, and how the nerves respond to sound stimuli, and how hearing works. But that's not going to make you necessarily a better communicator and a better listener. The biggest thing between hearing versus listening is understanding the information that you are being fed and being given and processing that into understanding. And then understanding is going to give you a response, whether it be emotional, physical, or mental. And it'll produce that response. And that is my personal belief of what listening is. Listening is taking the information from hearing and transferring it into a response, into a reaction, whether it's verbal or nonverbal. There's no perfect formula for a listening response. There will never be a perfect formula of, oh, you need to do X, Y, and Z in order to respond effectively to this person. It's not how it works. Each person is different. Each conversation is its own unique formula of listening, and you need to base off your response from that. So what a perfect listener is not real. There will never be such thing as a perfect listener. There will not be any universal listener who is able to correspond to each person's conversation effectively. It's not real. You can, however, gain skills that will make you a better listener. And those skills are set of what I do believe are attending and responding the conversation. In our textbook, it talks about attending the conversation, meaning you're being alert and attentive during the conversation. Sometimes that may mean you're making eye contact or like nonverbal agreements and gestures that may correspond with the other person's conversation. Responding is those responses that you're giving as you're attending the conversation. The nonverbal, the physical, emotional, mental responses that may be physical or physiological. Now, the process I've expounded upon is attending, understanding, and responding. And hearing a conversation is absolutely pointless. If you're just listening to a conversation, it's going through one ear and out the other. You're not gathering information, you're not remembering, you're not attending, your mind is elsewhere. You may not want to be in the conversation. So you're not going to gather information. You're not going to know how to properly respond to the other person. When you attend the conversation, you really start to listen. You begin to understand the information that's coming in from the other person as you're hearing the information. And you begin to listen. Your brain responds by corresponding to their nonverbal communication, to their verbal communication. You're paying attention to their posture, their physicality, the words they're using, the intensity of the words that they're using. And when you understand, you respond naturally. So when you're understanding the other person, gathering that information, and you're like, oh, they're angry, you can begin to understand how you're going to respond to the person. And when you respond, when you're listening, you respond naturally and genuinely. It's not going to be a forced response. It's not pseudo-listening. It's going to be completely natural, and it may be verbal or nonverbal because that is what your brain is computing. If you don't attend the conversation, I can't stress how important attending a conversation is. The other person might as well be talking to a wall because they're going to get as much response from a wall as they will from you if you're not attending the conversation. This is a formula that I have come up with how effective listening occurs. Listening equals attending, understanding, and responding to the conversation. And we spoke over this earlier. Attending, making sure you're listening and that you are making eye contact if that is a cultural response that you have. If you're responding non-verbally or verbally to the other person. Understanding is more of a physiological response. It's computing the words and the movements that they're doing, making sure, and then coming up with a response is going to help you make you a better listener. It won't make you a perfect listener, but if you apply this formula to your conversations that you're having with others, making sure that you're attending, first of all, and then listening to them, really listening by understanding and then responding, you will become a better listener. And that is the formula that I've come up with. Thank you.